Hello, today is April 12th, 2020, and to anybody listening, I'd like to share another letter, so to speak, with anybody out there. And we started with a vision of what the world could be, and then we moved just ever incrementally to beginning to take the idea of that vision and implement something that starts to turn it into a belief of its possibility. And now let's talk a little bit about, well, how to actually change the world, change our world, whatever world we're in. And change requires more than just knowing, more than just knowledge. We have examples of this all over. A prime example is if you look at just the tens of thousands or more than that probably of self-help books that all say very similar things. But the reason why there are so many is because knowledge alone doesn't actually get us to change. In order to actually change, we need knowledge and knowing, plus seeing and sight. We need to be able to see, which then allows us to feel what it is we know before we then move to change. So, without a map or a structure that allows us to see what's possible, we will remain in a place of, quote, what a great idea. I believe in it. However, I have no sense of how to really make it happen. So, the next step is seeing where we are and then evaluating and choosing where we are going next. So, those who want to believe and can rely on a structure and tools to help us see what is possible, which makes the believing even more real. For example, when we see a problem like environmental destruction or the destruction of each other, and then a remedy like this shutdown, lockdown, shelter in place that many around the world are complying with, that pause, along with other aspects of this, such as the rallying that we're seeing around the world of trying to come up with a cure or a remedy for the disease or the virus itself, we're all coming together around this one foe. Well, going forward, one choice we have is to change the purpose when the time is right, after we contain this virus, to building a more civilized world, for example, as our common goal and purpose, instead of a world that finds unity in ways such as a shared enemy model of uniting. Let's move away from a quote unquote, the enemy of my enemy is my friend model of uniting, and war is another example of this, to a framework of something like, quote, the friend of a friend of a friend is my friend way of uniting. Or said another way, the humanity of each other is what we choose to rally and unite around. So when we receive a letter, or when we receive that framework, maybe a letter, something to the effect of, dear humanity, you've seen how the damage that can be caused by human beings can create pollution and create harm to the earth and to other human beings in your forms of divisiveness and in your forms of conflict and your forms of not acknowledging the impact that you have on one another or the earth. And in this pause that you're in, or that we're all in, we've seen in the matter of weeks, we've seen cleaner air, we've seen clear water, the chirping of more joyful birds all around us. Things like crime in some places is down 20%. For many, the irony is that through social, quote unquote, social distancing, people are finding greater social connection. On the other hand, we are also seeing increased hate crimes against certain groups, and we're also seeing increases in domestic violence upwards of an increase of 120% in some places around the world. So we are beginning to see very clearly the contrast of possibilities that are possible, ranging from choices for the individual to the collective to the global to the universal. You pick, we pick which world we want to pick going forward. Sincerely, fellow world citizen. Before stopping, I just want to comment on something like domestic violence. We cannot devolve into harming and assaulting those who are our most loved and precious in our individual and collective lives. The reasons for things such as domestic violence range from things like inadequacy, fears, impatience, intolerance, poor impulse control, to name just a few. More will be said about these themes along the way in future videos. And just for anybody that this may apply to, in the United States, the National Domestic Violence Hotline is 1-800-799-7233. And again, in the United States, if you want to report a hate crime, the FBI Civil Rights Hate Crimes phone number is 1-202-324-3000. And if you're seeking resources and you've been a victim, there's the National Center for Victims of Crime, and that phone number is 1-202-467-8700. And more resources will be added along the way going forward for applicable topics that surface. Thank you.